Kath, you have just celebrated 18 years in business, which is no mean feat. What's the secret to your longevity?
It's the reputation that you build. Anyone who comes into contact with balance in any way, be it a client, a candidate, a supplier, any conversation, they have to have a positive experience. They will then talk of balance or someone at balance and just go, oh, they're a great bunch of people. You have to have that reputation. And it's not just the likability, it's obviously you've got to be professional.
This next guest is a returner. If you have been a follower of the podcast since the beginning, or even season 5, you'll recognise Kath Reynolds, who's the founder of Balance Recruitment. But in this episode today, we talk around how she has ensured she has stayed relevant and had longevity in her market, having just celebrated 18 years. It's actually a really useful episode for anyone who is really conscious about staying super immersed in their market and super relevant and ensuring that they are the go-to person or the go-to brand within whatever your niche is. Wherever you're listening, this is really relevant. We also talk about how she's successfully created a culture despite being a remote business. So I think this is one that there's some real lessons there for anyone that's struggling to create a successful hybrid culture. It's still relevant to you. Without further ado, let's jump in.
Where were you doing it before? Your
in
background.
in my office with recording, but it doesn't matter. We don't mind, we press record. This is my house. Yeah, I don't have an office anymore. I'm remote again now. So I've got my birthday cards there. Well, thank you for joining us on the Recruiters Recruitment podcast. This is a guest who I know on a very personal, professional level. So she was just asking me about my background. This is Lysha Holmes, and I'm your host. And I'm so excited when I welcome back a guest who's been on before, especially when they asked to come back on, because a lot's changed since they were last on. So without further ado, this is Kath Reynolds, who is the founder of Balance Recruitment. Welcome back. How are you?
Good, Lysha. Really well. Really well.
I'm very
Just had our 18th birthday in Balance.
Oh my God. Congratulations. Happy
Thank you.
birthday. I think we don't celebrate as a culture, we don't celebrate business anniversaries enough in this country. So
Yes.
I'm so sorry I wasn't there. I was looking at your photos this morning and got FOMO. It looked like a beautiful spread. I saw these burgers and little pigs.
Oh my God. The
Oh my
spread was
God.
amazing. But unfortunately, as the host, you don't get to eat. You're
No.
chatting too much. But yeah, the people who came said it was great do, so that's all that matters,
I
isn't it?
also think as a host, you're almost like projecting your happiness and enjoyment onto everyone else so that they enjoy themselves. So you then forget to. It's a bit like marriage and stuff, isn't it? Or it's a big birthday party, and you have to sometimes remember to just take yourself and look around the room and go, they are all here for you.
Yeah, yeah, it was really lovely.
That's
Um, so
yeah.
it's nice. As I said to you just a minute ago, we haven't had done one since our 10th. So obviously 8 years, that there were people there that had been at the 10th,
Oh,
and there were people there that we've been working with since Balance set up for 18 years.
oh, that's
So
amazing. It's such
yeah,
a nice thing to do, and I think it brings you together with your clients, your customers, your team members, your advocates, your suppliers, whoever it was there. That on a different level, it's just that human level, isn't it?
people. We're all just people. So even everyone who was there, because we had smaller numbers because of the tube strike I was saying, but so they were all from different areas. So we had some clients, some candidates, suppliers, contact. What they have in common is just supporting you,
Yeah,
supporting you.
yeah.
So it just was beautiful. And everyone who's coming up to me was saying, oh, I've just met such lovely people tonight.
I
That's what
do.
it's all about.
It's what it's all about, and I'm always really when I go to like a wedding or a celebration of someone that is my friend, but I don't know anyone else in their group, and I'll do what I do when I go to networking events. I don't try and speak to everybody. I just think, well, they look like someone I could chat to, and I go and speak to maybe one or two, and I always come away thinking, well, that because the central person is someone that I know and that
Yeah.
I'm magnetized towards, you would think by virtue we tend to mirror and match each other. So
Yeah.
I always find it really interesting when you go somewhere where you don't know everybody. Uh,
Yeah.
and good for you for doing that because a lot of people don't put the money in the pocket and do stuff like that. So I think
It
it's really nice.
really worked. Already, there are people that have made connections that have only just met each other, and I already know of about two or three sort of collaborations that's coming off of it, or new opportunities and stuff. And you think, how did that just happen in 4 hours on a
Um,
Thursday night? You know, over a couple of little mini burgers and a drink or two. It's
I just
great.
stopped saying it because I've not had anything to eat yet today.
I'm
Since
sorry.
so I'm absolutely starving. So when just ahead of you coming on the call now, we're recording this at 1 o'clock. I'm literally about to eat my arm. It's good because you'll get some really excited coffee-based energy. I mean, joking aside, that's where I think, we've almost gone full circle with how we do business in the world. Because if I think back to say 20 odd years ago, it would be about pressing flash, it would be about going to networking events, and it's almost like the virtual world, which enables you to run your business your way you do, which we are going to come on to the remote element as I do. But actually, it's the face-to-face interactions. If I think about women in recruitment leadership, which is how I know you, there's so much business that's come from those physical events. We're talking RPOs have been set up. We're talking, I know for a fact people have definitely employed people, which is fine. And they've created opportunity for their clients as well, where people have done collaborations together. It's just we haven't actually shouted about it enough, but that's what happens in real life.
Yeah, because it's so basic, and I find it sometimes not infuriating, but I mean, I started my life in recruitment 26 years ago. So 2000, that is how we were incentivized to do business, was to how many client lunches you could have that week or whatever. And then it became this thing of, oh, entertainment, the budgets or whatever. But and now people are saying you've got to be more human or whatever. We haven't stopped
No.
because because I've been in the game so long. Um, we're talking about mature market. I'm mature in a mature market. That I just Whereas some firms now, later, they're having to almost train people how to do face to face.
What's your etiquette? And I'm not afraid to be open about that with, because obviously I interview recruiters of all kind of levels. Typically I place the more senior end, but we do still try and, interview people who are in the early stages of their career. And I will talk around the etiquette of, have you been to networking events? Have you been to the expos in your industry? Have you taken a client out to lunch yet? And that, it's knowing how to behave. Do they drink? Should they smoke? Should they, and it's like, do you know what? How would you behave if you were going out with your partner's parents? That's kind of how you should behave if you're out with clients. You do let your true self show, but you probably put on your best behavior. Don't sit there telling, racist jokes. Don't sit there, smoking weed. But equally, if you are somebody, what I'm saying? Like
Yes,
that's
but
with
you can also feel, once you've done it once with a particular client, the level you're at, don't you? And you just almost let them dictate
yeah,
where you go. It's
exactly.
that, isn't it? It's just under, but I just think, we say networking, we say face-to-face meetings, client meetings. It's just living. We all do it. You all meet people. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just because it's under the work
Yeah,
umbrella that
yeah.
people maybe have a fear of it, or they're not used to it, they're not doing it regularly enough. But if you just say, all your clients are people,
Yeah. You get to
you
know
know,
the person when you meet them on a more social level, and I think a lot of it comes down to trust. A lot of it comes down to people breaking that trust. And I'm not surprised. I'm going to be devil's advocate for a minute. Why some founders and business leaders maybe feel discouraged from giving that budget to somebody that maybe they're not sure. But I'm a big believer that you create that empowered culture where are you going to see an immediate ROI on a lunch? If that lunch is going to cost you 150 quid, I don't know, whatever. What's that going to mean? Well, it might not mean a job or a filled vacancy straight away, but actually longer term, what is it they can create?
yes,
And I think, it should just have always been very endemic in what we do. And I think that's where the break came with COVID, but actually symbiotically with the whole kind of virtual world that we're in. But I just find we're at a really interesting point in time as a society and as an industry where what we would consider to be second nature and more traditional way of doing business is actually now this, well, that's what everyone's encouraging. It's what they should be teaching in schools. And it's like, great, good.
yes,
That's
yes.
how we'll not become extinct, right?
And it threw me so full circle. So I actually went to a high school 2 weeks ago to sort of do a talk on networking and getting out there. And I was just sort of, I then ended up linking in with so many of the students. It was great that so many, 16 and 17-year-olds had already started with a profile. you know. But
Right.
it's going, don't be scared about it.
Uh,
And once you start at such a young age, then it will just become second nature, as you say, and they will just build naturally, and it won't be such a terrifying thing from stepping into that new world, you know?
Yeah, I love that. I love that you do that. It's so important. I think I saw a post the other day. I think it was Hisham Azuz had posted around connecting to education, where we're the only way we're ever going to tap into, that psychology around, did you fall into recruitment? Did you choose it? It's like, well, it should be a chosen career. And, he was talking around each person maybe doing that, making connection with our previous school, colleges, whatever. I've actually been very lucky that I've been doing it with my old school for a really long time. And what's interesting
Right.
is that when I first started doing it, probably started doing it about 15 years ago, no one came and sat at my table. No one. I would always be sat with marketing, or I remember one time I was in a room with like KPMG and Deloitte's, and I'm sat there like literally going, anyone want to chat about their career, like the parents? And I would have like this CV surgery for the parents. And it was funny that over a period of time, I would be the one with the queue and the marketing one wasn't. And it'd be like, and then eventually now the format has changed slightly where I actually present to the sixth form in terms of those who are thinking about recruitment. And I had a full room of people, and I'm just like, why, does anyone want to say why you're here? And obviously nobody put their hand up. So I picked on the one kid that I knew, and she was like that, dying in a seat. Um, but it's great because it shows
Yes.
over a decade, it's
Yes.
gone from like, does anyone want to come and talk to me, to a room full of potential people who see it in a similar way. And this is a privileged grammar school, in a similar way to a career in finance, law.
Yes.
It's great, which it should be. We're professional
Profession.
services, aren't
Yeah.
we? So, Kath, you have just celebrated 18 years in business, which is no mean feat. We'll have seen it all. So, what would you say if you could unpack the ingredients of what's allowed you to have that longevity and still be in a position where you are clearly very passionate about your business? What's the secret to your longevity?
There's some the things that keep recurring to me really is knowing, and when you hear your clients speak
Hmm.
of you, it's the reputation that you build. Um, when we set up, we always had the intention to go long term. Like
Mm.
it was going to be something for life. We want to be business that people join and just love being part of. Yes, we weren't going to take over the world, but it wasn't for a setup scale exit. So that was key. Reputation has always been key. My big um, theory is that anyone who comes into contact with balance in any way, be it a client, a candidate, a supplier, a possible new recruit, um, any conversation, they have to have a positive experience.
Mm.
Even if you've interviewed someone potentially for a role and then working for balance, it hasn't worked out or whatever, I'm still in contact with those people. They will then talk of balance or someone at balance and just go, oh, they're a great bunch of people. You have to have that reputation. And it's not just the likability, it's obviously you've got to be professional. And it's key for me. That was the biggest strategy of the focus of our whole from setup through to now. And I will continue to continue that focus with any new person that joins. And that really does indicate who wants to join a business like that as well. You start to attract the right sort of people, don't you?
Yeah.
Um, so reputation is a big thing. Obviously, then long relationships, which it's sort of similar, isn't it? Because you have to build trust with both sides, and especially in our sector, which obviously, as you know, is niche of the niche, isn't it? Um, so many of our candidates eventually become our clients
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Um, not just with our sector, it's quite common, isn't it? But specifically because we put finance people into law firms and then we deal with the finance directors who hire the finance people, right? Um, and of course, it just makes sense. Of course, you're going to have to want a really long, trustworthy relationship with them, which is built on reputation, is built on honesty and meetings, and they respect our opinion as much as we respect
Yeah.
them.
It's
Mutual.
respectful. And I think what you've said there, it's interesting that in 6 seasons, I don't think we've ever had a founder on the way we've specifically nailed this point. And it's interesting because that resonates. Maybe that's why you and I get on so well. It really resonates with me because I've always said right from the day one with key recruitment, I didn't want to be the biggest. I wanted to be known as the best and the most trusted.
Yeah. Yes.
And you can say that. I could stand here and go, I want to be, but how do you become? You have just talked around, for me, a couple of things there around how you build a reputation, which I think it is around that trust, and it's about you were talking about working in partnership. And I think there's another word as well which doesn't get talked around enough, which is that consistency in what
Yes.
you do and how you do it, which then earns you that reputation. So all the way through, me building out my brand, I talked around the quality, the urgency, the integrity. But the integrity piece for me was, which is now such a buzzword, it's like, what does that actually mean? And that means that I will always do the right thing every single time, even if that means I don't make a fee, even if that means
Yes.
I lose a candidate, even if that means I don't work with that client anymore that's scaling beyond belief, but they're unethical, whatever it might be. And it's consistently doing that every single time, even when people don't know. So I think
Yes, and when we're talking about reputation and trust, it means you become their expert, right? So because they completely trust you, they know you're going to give the answers to their questions in a completely honest way. As you say, it doesn't necessarily might not benefit you financially for a particular response, right? So then I think like you, our business, I mean, it's 95% repeat business and it's all inbound.
yeah. Are you inbound as well? That's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had anyone else on that's 100% inbound. And people can't believe I do it. And it's like, it really isn't that hard. Because if you do the right thing, people will come to you and go, I know I can trust that business. Even if I don't get that person every single time or don't place that person every single time. What you said earlier on about these touch points that we have, whether it's an internal team member, whether it's a client or a candidate, somebody that you've actually said no to, the way that you've on that journey through life, those touch points that you've done, is you've treated them the way that you would want to be treated.
Yes.
You're not that
This is
hard.
why sometimes, Lysha, I just think why it's not that difficult.
It's not. The whole podcast is just going to be me and you going, it really isn't that hard. But the fact is, how many people listening to this have actually got 100% inbound business? I bet we can count on one hand because it's you and me.
Yeah, yeah,
And it really isn't. But what I think the reason it's hard work, the reason people think it's hard work is because it is that consistency in doing it every single time. And it's walking away from bad business and it's making those brave decisions. And it's interesting because I know we'd sort of talked about what we're going to talk about today. And I was going to talk to you about how do you stay relevant. And I think this is what makes it really relevant in the
yeah. Yes,
world where people can spout and everyone's now wondering what's deep fake on there, what's AI on there, that you cannot fake consistent
yes.
action.
And I know about keeping relevant because again, as I'll go back to my niche of the niche thing, because we just deal with law firms, it's quite and finance into law firms, it's very easy to find out what their issues are.
Mm.
Right? Because it's the same sector,
Yep.
and it's the same department within the same company. I'm not saying they're all exactly, obviously they're different sizes, they're UK, US, they're on whatever. Um, but they're going to have very common issues, right? So it's going to your partners, your clients effectively, and just asking them,
Yeah.
listening,
Yep.
and then helping them solve those problems.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
how you stay relevant.
Yeah.
And it's evolving with how are they evolving? What are their issues as we lead into different things, especially with finance, obviously with AI, but also when you're dealing with law firms, they obviously one of their main priorities is compliance,
Mm.
right? So then it becomes almost a burden initially for them,
Mm.
bringing on
I can
AI
imagine
into their finance departments, right? And
staying.
it becomes a whole big compliancy issue and whatever. But so it's just listening and they trust you, so they'll talk to you. And then I'm hearing what their problems are, and then we're evolving to go, right, how can we solve those issues? And because we are such trusted partners, if they need sort of a specific benchmarking exercise done or things like that, they'll come to us.
And the thing is, like you've said there, wherever you're listening to this now, fundamentally, your clients will have similar headaches. I imagine a large part of it will be the human beings that they employ, which is hence where we come in, right?
Yeah.
But it is true. There's only so many, you know, things that can happen. We have a finite amount of things that can affect us in what we do in our day job. And so you'll find a commonality. And I think you learn to cut through all the crap and just see that for what it is. So no, I think I find that, it's just so enlightening to know that, wherever you are listening in your recruitment journey, whether you're a founder or whether you're a recruiter, you can stay relevant. But the only way you can stay relevant is by, I think, mirroring what is happening in your industry. And you are that mirror, actually. It's a really good analogy because, you know, no one knows what's in the future. We just don't know. I mean, there's so much this could happen. We could have El Nino coming and destroying all our crops and everything. We could have a total AI, abomination where we have this apocalypse where we're just going to be replaced by robots. This is a lot of could haves. I could go and marry, Harry Styles. There's a lot of coulds. So what I like to focus on is what is controllable by me, and stop
Yeah.
because, but I've just gone off a totally different tangent there. So no, I think that's really, useful, because I think even if you've only done recruitment for a year, you still need to understand how to stay relevant.
Yes. And the good thing with that, so it's that. So we've got, as you say, even if you've only just if you're new into the industry, but of course we've got the longevity of being around for so long and having those trusted partners that you can speak to. But of course you just need to keep asking and listening and meeting them, and not just assuming,
Yeah.
oh, would it be the same. Just go and find out what their problems are. Have a chat
Yeah.
and say, how can we help you? That's
Yeah.
what we're here to do, right?
And just don't assume that I just want to go back to what you just said. Don't assume, because
Yeah.
I think that there are a lot of people over the last few years that have maybe assumed that their sectors are robust and recession proof and recruitment proof. If you only have to look at things like life sciences, the bubble burst post COVID.
Mm.
I mean, it's still around, it's still relevant, but the bubble burst. NHS, people would have thought
Mm.
just on a one-way ticket to millionaire, and now, because of austerity, I personally think morally it's the right decision, but there you go. But I think you cannot make any assumptions ever in
No.
recruitment. You become complacent in recruitment, whether you're a founder or a biller, is the day that you become irrelevant.
Yes. And even if, as you say, your sector, nothing's bulletproof, but not just that, how can you be sure your relationship is still as good as it was
Yeah.
6 months ago if you're not keeping up to date, if you're not asking the
Yeah.
questions? Your contact may have moved on anyway,
Yeah.
might be offshoring the resource that we normally supply.
Yeah.
You don't, and as I said, there's so much repeat business we get, which I said 95%, and it's inbound. You can't rely on that email hitting your book,
No.
can you?
No, I think having a health check, for me, it should be at least monthly with
Yeah.
clients. Even if it is just a friendly WhatsApp or a LinkedIn message, just say, look, just wanted to check in with you, was thinking about you. Have you seen this article? Have you seen this podcast? Whatever it might be, something valuable, I would always suggest, rather than just a, hey, how are you? Because you never know. Don't ever assume. And also, you only have to do this once as a billing recruiter, to never do it again, where you've got a candidate or you've got what you think could be a match and you go, well, they won't be interested. No, pick up the phone, because you never know.
Yes.
You never know.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's how I think we're still here.
Now, it's a topic that I would like to think is still, something that I still get asked a lot about, and I think it will stay relevant. But I know that it kind of goes in peaks and troughs in terms of when people share about it on LinkedIn, particularly on LinkedIn, is that you have got a remote business model.
Yeah.
So how have you ensured that your culture of partnership, of inbound business, how have you got it so right when you're remote? Because at the end of the day, you're not working physically in the same office together. So how have you done it?
Really very tricky, isn't it?
Mm.
Because I mean, back in the office days, I miss being around people on a daily basis. But I even asked my new joint. I had someone start with me in November, and after you asked me the question yesterday, I asked her,
Okay, good.
yeah, how does she's never done remote. She hadn't even been hybrid. So she's based in Derby, which I always call up north, but she says no, she's in Midlands.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm up north
north of me.
in Lancashire, love.
So for her, this was a very big change, obviously. Joining a new firm, she hadn't done legal finance before. She'd done finance, not legal finance. She'd never worked remotely, and she's a 2 hour drive away, you know. And so I asked her, how have we kept you motivated and enjoying your job? And so she said, well, we have a weekly Teams, online Teams. We have a monthly in person where she's just left today. She normally comes down for a 3 day stint. Um, we have a WhatsApp group. So obviously any stuff that's happening with work is constant all day, but also personal stuff. Celebrations, both with personal and professional, happen, online, and then when we meet in person. But she says it's because as well, the autonomy she's given and the trust in that she can work her day as how she sees fit.
Yeah.
You know, she
Okay.
know they're given a level of responsibility. We all know what needs to get done. There's no clock watching as such. There's just this needs to be done. If that works for you better tomorrow, that you start at 10 and work later, or you do your if you do any sort of client nurturing, I call it, as opposed to BD, but or you want to have all your candidate calls at this time. She loves the fact she can work her day as she sees fit, knows that she's still hitting target, and there's never a question.
Mm.
And she feels that's completely freeing, and that motivates her.
Yeah.
So,
Treating like a grown up. I think I just want to pick up on one thing there, which is where so many get it wrong, and it's the knowing what is expected of you. So it's managing expectations and setting those boundaries from day one.
yes,
And that comes back to the trust thing, doesn't it? That's
yes,
what the expectation is. And I often think that by micromanaging people and demanding this mandate of this presenteeism 5 days a week. I mean, most of our clients, I do a data survey every year as to where our placements have been. And it is still largely hybrid, actually. I think last year was about 70% was hybrid. And then split between the 30% was totally full-time in the office, because we're just not and that tends to be more junior. We don't place junior people. That's not to say our clients aren't full-time, and then the rest
yes,
out. So I think that yeah, I think we have to be led by the data there, that for most companies they see that some connectivity is, I mean, we class ourselves as remote, but we get together at least once a fortnight, but that's we go and do a load of client meetings. So it's interesting that you make sure that's part of your
yes.
expectations, that we're going to meet 3 days a week, you'll come 3 days a month, you'll come down. Does she stay in a hotel or your
Yeah,
house?
I've actually got a Premier Inn right at the end of my street.
That's quite
Um,
good.
so when she started, her first week was between the Premier Inn and my kitchen table.
And I was going to say that's nice. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that, from a personal level, is great because obviously you go straight in. That's so much more. It's quite intense,
Yeah, yeah,
but it's sort of let's let's dive in head first because we may as well.
yeah,
Let's get to know each other and get to know how the business runs, not drip feed.
yeah.
Let's find out if you like it right away, right?
I've got some really great relationships with clients who incidentally are Northwest based, but they run a remote model. And it tends to be more mature, experienced people that they hire, which is fine. But their profit margin is so high because they don't have the cost. They're hiring
No.
people that just know what they need to do. And like you say, I mean, I know she always listens back, and she always makes me say this to her, but she still asks me today. She went, I've got a doctor's appointment at 9:15, so I'm really sorry. And I'm like, oh my God, please stop asking me about you going to the doctor at 9:15. She was out in and out in 5 minutes. Like, why are you still asking me? Are you serious? After 9 years?
It is funny. I mean, Becky hasn't gotten out of that mode yet either, but she's only new. But even Neil, who's been with me for 5 years, the whole time remote, will still say, "Oh, I've just got to go here to get a chemist for my mum or whatever." And you're like,
Why are you telling
"I
me?
need to know. I
I'm like,
really need to know."
she'll go, I'm going to go to the 5 o'clock Pilates class. And I'm like, and, Why are you telling me? That's great. I'm glad you're going. I hope you get to go. I'll pick things up later and I'm like, oh my God, please stop.
Yes, yeah. So I think that's how so I did ask her, and it was a brilliant person to ask for this because, of course, she's only just hit her 6 month. So she could really see, okay, how has it affected me and how much joy am I getting from my job? And she absolutely loves it.
Yeah.
And, she's gotten herself into her own routine now as well. She's got a dog at home, she does the walk, whatever. And from a mental health, physical health.
Yeah. I think this actually is a really nice, referral back to our first podcast that we shared. So if you are able to go and search in your podcast bar, go and look for Kath Reynolds' previous one with us, because that was all around running a business and running your desks in it from a profit
As a business.
And actually, this for me, this is like the whole overview of why and how, but you're creating this mindset and this level of accountability and respect for the job that someone does. And it is not going to suit everybody, is it? If
No.
you're taking on people with less experience commercially and within recruitment, not necessarily within your niche, but within recruitment, it will become more challenging because maybe they haven't got the confidence. But I think if you can build something where people genuinely feel that they're building their own entrepreneurial business, it's
Yes.
insurmountably more
Yes. And
enjoyable.
they've got full transparency of the overall business,
Yeah.
which can incentivize them even more to make sure that their business within the business is as profitable as can be. And obviously, if the commission structure is clear and targets are clear, expectations are clear, and they're going to also be able to have some input into, because it's a new chapter for me now, into how do we see this in 2 or 3 years in terms of employee ownership or what have you. So
Yep.
that goes back to our first one, Lysha. You give them the ownership and the accountability, and then everyone's happy.
I
You know?
agree. What a gorgeous way to finish what has been a joyful with a little interlude, which maybe
Yes.
maybe it'll be kept in about the dog in the wine being delivered the day after it was needed. I just find that hilarious. That says everything you need to know about. Was it DPD? Every one of those.
Exactly. The DPD.
They're all as bad as each other. Sorry if you are listening and that is your second job. Please do it when you need to be.
Needs to happen.
Thank you so much for joining us. And what has been a really exciting year for you. I know it's been a really, big change this year. And, let's see where your 19th year takes you. What we'll have to get
Oh, Lysha,
19.
it's so exciting. I'm really excited. Yeah.
Really pleased, and I can't wait to see you in person in a couple of weeks. And
Yes.
thanks for being such a big part of our women in recruitment leadership community. We couldn't do it without people like you. So thank you.
You're welcome.